Apologies for coughing there. I thought I'd got that out of my system. Welcome to Cow Daily, your not daily requirements met. How you doing? I hope well. I see you are starting to join the stream, which is always a pleasure. Just one of them days, really. My partner was working in the office, and all of my stuff that was set up was being moved. So I'm just having a whinge because I don't like that. I'll go and iron her out after this. That isn't even actually true, even though I'm joking, clearly. She'll iron me out every time. She ran a kickboxing gym for many years. Trust me, she irons me out. It's not your regular thing. But yeah, today we're going to talk about like the things that need to be spoken about. Hence why it's called What Is Going On. Marvin Gaye would have loved where. There's people rocking up in the comments, though. We'll see who's around. Nice to see you die the year, you know. E, right back at you. Joanne's moved to the quiet room. E, Susie Stapleton in the house. Now then, back at you, my friend. Let me know if you're about in the comments, chaps. That'll be class. Obviously, if you want to give an early like on the stream and all that. What's going on, Jez? Nice to see you, pal. Always a pleasure. Reet. Also, it's one of those days where my mouse doesn't work properly, so it's not charged. Remember when you just have leads and they were better? I always enjoyed it. They're gone now, though. That's not nice. Anyway, Peter the A to the T, run.com/cowdaily. That's patreon.com/cowdaily for all your supporting of independent media needs with regular and predictable income to enable us to do this work. If you would like to make a one-off contribution to our work, you can go to the link in the description of this show, wherever you find it, and do that via PayPal. Also, if you want to help us go up the charts of the audio podcast charts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, leave a good review and listen to it all the way through there. That apparently helps it more than anything. Cheers, my friends. Much appreciated. What about this star? Bink. What's on the screen? This, right, as we have long suspected, many of us, from The Guardian, COVID death toll in US likely 16% higher than official tally study says. This from Melody Schreiber. I and the rest, Melody. Anyway, reading on. The COVID death toll in the US is likely at least 16% higher than the official tally, according to a new study, and researchers believe the cause of the undercounting goes beyond overloaded health systems to a lack of awareness of COVID and low levels of testing. Rewind selector, to a lack of awareness of COVID and low levels of testing. I'll come back to the article. How long, right, have we been saying this? How long? Look, I've had whistleblowers come to us saying, like, things aren't being tested. There's a lack of accountability in healthcare systems. And this is just in the UK. For whatever reason, that's happening across the planet, it seems. And also, I've had it told to me by very, very, very credible sources that quite a lot of the time there's no continuous professional development in terms of what the latest is with COVID. Quite a lot of the time people are just operating like years out of date, which quite honestly, as anybody with half a brain would agree, I'm sure, that if that's happening, that's really, really bad. Because, like, you know, we've just been through some stuff that people want to lob in the memory hole, and it's getting people killed. Anyway, let's read on from the article. COVID death toll in the US likely 16% higher than official tally. So anyway, it goes on. The second year of the pandemic also had as many uncounted excess deaths as the first, the study found. More than 1.1 million Americans have died from COVID, according to the official records, but the actual number is assuredly higher. Rewind selector, the actual numbers is assuredly higher. Given the high rates of excess deaths, demographers want to know how many could be attributed to COVID, and they drill down to data at the county level to discover patterns in geography and time. There were 1.2 million excess deaths from natural causes, excluding deaths from accidents, firearms, suicide, and overdoses. Between March 2020 and August 2022, the researchers estimated, and about 163,000 of those deaths were not attributed to COVID in any way, but most of them should have been, the researchers say. Once they determined how many people had died than expected, more questions arose. Everyone has wanted to know, why did all those extra deaths happen? Asked Elizabeth Wrigley Field, associate professor in the Department of Sociology in the Minnesota Population Center at the University of Minnesota and one of the study's authors. That's a bloody mouthful. To get close to that answer, they first looked at when and where excess deaths occurred. The researchers thought that they might see deaths happening at the peak of major surges or shortly thereafter, when health systems were overwhelmed and health workers were exhausted and sick themselves. Instead, the excess deaths began ticking up in the month before, in the lead up to major surges. The mortality that's not considered COVID starts a little bit before the COVID surges officially start and crests a little bit sooner, Wrigley Field said. That'll do it. If you want to read that, go to The Guardian. Mad times. And the rest. Too many, look, we'll be putting stuff out from whistleblowers, but it's ethical and journalistic integrity to only do that when you've got it solid. And that's when we'll do it. But we've been saying this for a long time. And it's, if, I hate the term, we're COVID aware or whatever it is. Can somebody come up with a term for people that isn't COVID aware? Ass kicking barbarian Raj packet, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think there's any good name. But anyway, these are things that we know. These are things that if you're keeping abreast of this stuff, it's bloody obvious. But if you're not, it's not going to be so obvious. So understood. Getting it. Stop saying history will judge them. Judge them now with judges. That could apply to most things in this. Right, just want to pull this up as well, because this does absolutely fit in with what we're trying to say. Pull up. Right. Remote work. This from communist dirtbag title, fortune.com. Remote work helps push disabled employment to a record high of 21%, but the gain is imperiled by return to the office mandate. Before we go on, right, a lot of that is just down to straight up capitalism. I mean, the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK, Jeremy Hunt, is blatantly a commercial landlord. There was some ex-employee of his actually when he was named Chancellor, came out and whistle blew about him and said he was the worst employer ever. Anyway, I digress. This from fortune.com. An embrace of remote work spurred by the pandemic helped the employment rate for disabled people reach an all-time high last year. The percentage of disabled people who were employed rose to 21.3% in 2022. Class. According to the data released Thursday by the Bureau of Labour Statistics, that's more than a 2 percentage point increase from 2021 and the most since 2008, when comparable data were first published. The unemployment rate for disabled people dropped last year along with the national average, and while the labour force participation rate did tick up for those without disabilities, it went up by 3 times as much for all people with disabilities. Daily tasks such as commuting and navigating an office space can be difficult for people depending on their disabilities. As companies adopted remote and hybrid work arrangements, more disabled people applied for and landed jobs, sometimes for the first time in years. The recent push by companies urging workers to return to the office may threaten gains made by disabled people who comprise about 12% of the population. According to the BLS, a report by the consultant firm McKinsey & Co. published last June estimated that 35% of companies offered a fully remote option. Overall, disabled people are still less likely to be employed than their counterparts who don't have disabilities, and they are twice as likely to be employed part-time, the BLS report said. They're also more likely to be self-employed. Right. Few things to unpack. One of them being that what a great thing that more disabled people are finding employment. And one of the things that we spoke about at the start of the pandemic was this could be a real, when everybody was like, oh, we're all in this together, guys. This could be a real boon for remote work and opening up the equality of opportunity to more people. But capitalism, stay in the house, disabled people, and we're going to rip your benefits off you. So these are the fronts we have to fight. At the end of the day, right, people want to work, and we're in 2024. We're supposed to have flying cars. We can definitely have adaptions for disabled people. That is easy to do with the political will. So let's stop electing bastards, because they're wanting to send disabled people back into the office if they can't actually make it there. And they've already been doing this, and they want to do that because of capitalism. And also just ego. Whoever's running them businesses, not all, but like quite a lot of the time, they just want to like monitor your fucking toilet breaks and just make themselves feel important. So all of those people can get fucked. We need adaptions, proper ones, not just HEPA filtration system, but like literal physical access, ramps, the whole thing. I remember, like, Slaz, if you're listening, I don't know if you're like out there today. I remember me and you had like a bit of, I wasn't a set two, but like I didn't really understand it and it wasn't as across it as much. When we're doing events and we put one, I think it was Sage Francis, it was upstairs at Digital in Newcastle. And obviously it was hard for you to get upstairs. So I tried my best then, and I got a bit ag about it. To be honest, it was me. And I was like, I've tried my best. But the crack was there was just nowhere in Newcastle where we could, of that size, where we could make it accessible. And it's bothered us ever since. And, you know, I always try and get an accessible venue wherever possible. But it just shows that without mandating from government, businesses just don't do it, because it's all profit. So that seems to work the same way for nightclub spaces as much as it does for office spaces, because capitalists run both. So, you know, we've got to set the scene with this stuff and realize who we're actually working with. I mean, the good news, which isn't good really, but the maths show that like ultimately we'll get what we want, because, you know, things are going to just break, because you can't like have all of the more and more sick people, or people getting on long-term sick, because ultimately that doesn't, you know, the economy won't work. So it just shows that the people at the so-called elite are absolute mugs, because they're just so gassed up on ideology. And we'll see that as the show develops when we move into this next topic too. Yes, we will. But before we do that, I'm going to play this. 2 seconds, just pulling it up. It's here. Share this tab instead. Certainly will, StreamYard. Check this out. This is an interesting, straight to the point video, which I think anybody really should be seeing. And here it is.
Everybody in the United States is getting sick by some virus.
I'm genuinely so sick of seeing videos like these, because you all will talk about how everybody's getting sick and then do nothing to prevent yourself from getting sick. Like, you all know that the government's lying about Gaza and Palestine, but you all think the government's telling the truth about COVID? Really? Our own CDC is basically going up against the WHO on COVID mitigation and policies because corporations want you back in the office. And we can sit here and be like, yeah, it's a failure of the government. Yeah, it's a failure of public health policies. Yeah, every single institution failed us, but what are we going to do? And yeah, all those things can be true. But ultimately, the United States government was never going to protect people. Your immune systems are compromised. People are walking with brain damage, lung damage, vein damage, whatever. You wanted to move on? This is what moving on looks like. Congratulations, you won. But you all know this. The information is out there. You just don't want to act upon it. What are videos like this meant to do exactly? Oh, we're all getting sick. Oh my God. And then if you tell people to wear a mask, be like, masks don't work. Okay, then whatever. Whatever happens to you happens to you. What do you want, a fucking high five?
Yes. I mean, there's a lot more of this kind of like more ag content coming out. There was a thing I posted on our Facebook page yesterday from another bigger COVID aware account. I fucking hate that, man. Barbarian Raj pockets. That's what we are. So I'm not against people being like, "What do you want a fucking medal?" Well, 5 years in, and people are whinging about like, "Oh, what is this mystery virus?" Like, what do you do? I got no problem with it, because people are allowed to have their feelings. All of it, we're allowed to have them, and I'll rephrase that. We're allowed to have their feelings if they're backed up with something rational. And there's nothing irrational about what this person is saying. Yes, people are tired of like, what is this mystery thing? Yes, people are tired of going, oh, well, these are the things that you can do. Oh, that doesn't work. Well, fuck off and die then. I mean, you don't feel that really, but it's what people are missing is it's often just an expression of frustration, which is allowed 5 years in. Of course it is. Like, people shouldn't like try and tone police people who are like having to stay in the fucking house or across this issue and have made adaptations. Like, that's to me like the height of rage. Like, you want to tone police people who can like prove to you that this is really, really not great for you. Who like have went out of their way and put themselves in the fire to tell you. She's allowed to think what she wants to think. As is the other person yesterday who said something along the lines of, like, oh, we won't be like, why should I help you when you're not like helping us now, kind of thing. It was something like that. I mean, I could pull it up, but what's the point? My point stands. The top and bottom of it is this: people are angry as fuck that people are doing that thing people do, where it's not my problem until it's their problem, and then they look around for the help. I'm still going to help people because I just don't think we can operate in this way and not be there for people when the need would be, because people have been victimized, man. Victimized. But at the same time, that doesn't debar us from like fucking just going, just fuck off from time to time, because it's hard doing this, man. And I know I'm like quite a lot of the times, like, you know, yous know this, I don't need to tell you, but it gets hard. I mean, this is family and friends too. It's not just like some muglords on the internet thinking they're edgelords. You know what I mean? It cuts across our whole fucking life. Imagine having to like fucking do this and just people like trying to weirdo you off left and right. We're gonna get Aggie. It's gonna happen. And it's never happened once to me face though. Mad, mad, mad times. Anyway, before we move on to the next thing, let we see who's around. Who's about? Get up. Who's in? Liz in, nice to see you, pal. John Nash in the house. Still need to figure out how to change YouTube ID Smeg. What is this? What is this, John? Oh, yeah, you mean you? I've got you. Who's in? Carlos, nice to see you. Snide in the house, live and direct from China. Oh, them new Chinese like exclusives SB dunks you posted the other day with all of the stitching. They're amazingly beautiful. Amazingly beautiful. Right. Who else? Michael Dines, always a pleasure. Go to Michael Dines' YouTube channel if you want some like palette cleansing, lovely nature stuff. Really nice. Yes, you're quite right. I am absolutely and utterly fucking raging that that internet is fucking crashed again. Not only has it crashed, right? Me fucking online studios come back, and all of the fucking stuff that I've had to show you is gone. So I'm not even going to talk you through what the problem is here, right? But I'm fucking raging and I'm stacking this for today. I'm going to go and kick some cunt's ass. Well, verbally at least, because I was promised this was fixed twice. Fucking close. See you later.